Randy comes in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden, a bunch of stuff disappears. We want to go into history, Randy. You don't want to. We'll start with
right.
him.
All right.
Mr. McCle, can you hear me?
I believe so, yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so you've had an opportunity at mediation. That's not successful, is that right?
Well, I guess not, but yes, it's not successful.
All right. So the next matter we're going to have for trial today then is number 3 on the calendar, Randy Bell and Elizabeth Bell versus McCle's Automotive and Brian McCle's. This is case number 37085. And I understand that, Mr. McCleese, you have filed a counterclaim in this case as well. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And did you serve that on the Bells?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Mr. and Mrs. Bell, you or Randy Bell and Elizabeth Bell, did you get that document?
We did.
Counterclaim?
Yes.
Just last week.
I'm sorry?
I was just saying, we just received it just last week.
Are you prepared to respond to it today?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's begin then. Randy Bell and Elizabeth Bell, you're the plaintiffs, so you go first.
Well,
Let's hear what you have to say.
all right. So a long time ago, did you read my summary letter, Judge?
Yeah, I did,
Okay. I'll just
but
kind of
that's
give
not
it.
in the record, so that's why I need you to. I mean, it's not on the record at this point, so I need to hear from you.
All right. Well, I talked to Brian about a different situation, had to do with racing. That has nothing to do with this court case. So Brian and I were talking. He was asking me to go back to work for him, which I didn't want to do because I'd worked for him previously and it didn't end very well. So anyway, after a few conversations of us having other things with racing, he really wanted me to go back to the shop. After making some assurances, I agreed to go back to work for him. As I got back in the shop and we started to get things going, McCle's credit had been suffering and we were having trouble getting parts to keep the shop running. So I needed to start using my credit card to help make things keep flowing so we could keep parts coming in the shop. So as we were going through this process, it was probably a 6-month period or so. I had been getting paid back on those purchases every month. Our arrangement or friendship ended abruptly. And so there was some balance left over when I left. And wife and I struggled a little bit this last year. So there's been some delay in getting back to Brian. So we got back to the paperwork to Brian, haven't heard anything. And other than now that we got a counterclaim. So I would like to get the money back that we had for the credit card purchases.
And how much is that?
$6,800.
All right, Mr. McCleese, your response to that and also your counterclaim. Go ahead.
Well, I know me and Randy butted heads at the end, but he had thousands of dollars worth of my equipment that he was taking to California. And I was going to close up the shop the later part of the week, and he was getting ready to go racing with my equipment and him and his buddy. And so they've got all my equipment. I call him on the phone Thursday night and I go, dude, the shop's a mess. I can't work like this. And I said, get your butt down here. Let's go ahead. Let's get things cleaned up, and then you can go back to the carts and get that going. And the quote words were, it's not my job to take care of your tools. Well, you know what it is. I mean, if he's using them, they got to take care of them. If they're trying to run the show a little bit, they got to have the employees take care of my tools. And they were scattered. And so I told him, after he said, I don't have to take care of your stuff, I said, bring my carts home. We're done. And so that evening, he was supposed to bring him back ASAP, is what I said. He didn't. He tore them apart. He went ahead and brought them back at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, I was asleep. And all of a sudden, that morning, I'm missing an $11,000 scanner. I'm missing a complete disc brake set. I'm missing a bunch of stuff. And I mean, I kept asking Randy, please bring my product back. Just please. I didn't want to fight with them. I didn't want to argue with them. And it turned into a fiasco. And so I said, bring me the receipts for everything that you think you spent for me, and we'll place it on a car, and I'll have the accountant give you a check. No response.
What?
Nothing. What happened? Are you there, Your Honor?
I am. Keep going.
Oh, there you go. It kind of blacked out there. So anyhow, I had to, and I mean, I can go ahead and snap a photo and send this to you. I had to buy an $11,792 scanner just to replace what I had. Plus, he took all of the adapters for my scanners, and that's another $5,000. So it can fit every vehicle and so forth. He gutted me. And his friend, who still works for me, is willing to testify. And he just walked in, and I hired one of my customers, Joe, who came in, and he had a bunch of work done while I was dragging my ass because I was sick and I was not doing well. I was in a divorce. But Joe's right here, and he's the one who's running all the media and doing all the billing. And all the jobs that he brought in and paid cash for, gone. They're not in my computer. They pocketed the money, him and another man, Morgan, and they all walked within the same, 2 days, and I was left here high and dry and trying to get back to work. So all I have to say is I took a beating. I'm done taking a beating, please. It's been a tough industry. It's been a tough time for everyone. But steal my equipment, not acceptable. I just wanted it back.
Go ahead, Mr. McCle.
It made it very tough, sir.
You're finished? All right. Let me ask you
Yes,
this
sir.
question. Did the Bells provide you with a listing of $6,800 worth of purchases they made on their credit cards
I have
to
not seen
benefit
it.
McCle's Automotive?
I have not seen it.
And this witness that you have is going to say that is going to testify that Mr. Bell took the scanner.
He's going to also, what's the right thing to say? Know that he deleted his jobs and the cash disappeared. He's right here. He's standing right here, sir.
All right, put him on.
Joseph? Hi, how are you? Will you tell the judge about how all your stuff disappeared and you paid cash?
Yeah, okay, so
All right, hold on a second, Joseph. Hold on a second. First of all, we're going to have you be sworn in here to tell the truth. All right,
Okay.
So please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this matter?
I do.
Tell me your name.
Lester Joseph Doyle.
Joseph what?
Lester Joseph Doyle. Lester, second name Joseph, last name Doyle.
All right. And you work for Brian McCle, is that right?
Yes,
You told me you were a customer for years.
they can hear you. And yes,
How long have you worked for Brian McCle?
since February of last year, or yes.
Mr. McCle is alleging that Mr. Bell took a scanner valued at $11,000 and some dollars. Do you have any evidence of that?
That
Did
was
you witness
before my
that?
time. That was before my time. The only thing I can actually speak on is the amount of unpaid work orders that are sitting in our system. And through the time that I've been here in the last year, the people that have come back in with these work orders that are left open and balances saying that are due us, every one of them said that they paid with cash. So, and those
Okay.
cash payments were never registered. They were not put into the system, along with my own personal vehicle that I'd had here before I became an actual employee. I spent about $7,000 in cash, and that entire transaction does not exist in this system.
Do you have personal knowledge of Mr. Bell taking any other equipment from the McCle firm?
No, as far as that was all before my time here. The only thing I can tell you is the stuff that is missing along the way. Other than that, I have no idea what. It didn't happen before my time here.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. Doyle. That's all that I need from you today.
Okay.
Put Mr. McCle back on.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to hear from Mr. Bell in response to this. Mr. Bell?
Sure.
Okay, so first let's start with the conversation. First, the conversation we had that Brian was a little unhappy with the shop. So Brian has had some issues and he was worried about some triggers. But here's the thing. Brian wasn't running the shop, nor was he working in the shop at the time. So he had nothing to do with it. Part of his assurances when I went back to work for him was for him to stay out of the shop and have nothing to do with the day-by-day stuff. So he had that was not the way that basically went down. Yes, he did call. Yes, he was unhappy with the shop. Never did he say to me, get your butt down here and get this cleaned up. That never happened. Okay. On the go-kart thing. So that's the whole reason I kind of got back here together with Brian and us have a conversation, because we both have racing in our blood. These go-karts he did purchase. These go-karts were his. This was an equal deal going down there. The motors on the go-karts, the seats in the go-karts, all that stuff was mine. Okay. So when he called at the last minute, now I have 5 people that have spent $2,000 a piece getting ready to leave to go down to this race. I'm ready to leave in hours, and he calls and says he wants the go-karts back. Fine. The reason I didn't get back there till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I had to tear both go-karts down, take all my stuff back off them so I could get his stuff back to him. So that's why that took so long.
Which is basically just
so anyway, and then I did drop that stuff off at night. I dropped the keys off. I also dropped some racing shirts off that he had made, because this was a collaboration between us. It wasn't like he was doing me some favor. In fact, I took my 2 go-karts to the race. So it wasn't like that I needed this. This is something that we were doing as a team and wanted to do together. Okay. Never once, as he mentioned, today's the first day I've ever heard about the scanner or anything. He's never called me asking for his equipment. None of that. That is total BS. Never, ever happened one time.
The second Dennis is coming in.
Mr. McCle, it's not your turn to testify right now. Continue, Mr. Bell.
Now I lost my spot. Gosh dang it.
never once did.
Scanner is the first time you heard about it today.
Yeah, he never once asked about the scanner or anything else. We had one conversation after I quit, and that was that, you still owe me some money. Yeah, get me copies of the credit card receipts. That's what he wanted to see. Unfortunately, this is where that delay got in, and we didn't get that back to him till, 60, 90 days ago or something. I do have a
sign to wherever it went.
I
We're
do
not
have a
giving
signed
any
piece of
bill.
paper.
Mr. McCle,
I'm sorry.
it's not your turn.
I know.
I have a signed receipt showing that we delivered those receipts to him. They were signed for him. Signed for. So he did get it.
Signed for by Mr. McCle.
Yes.
I don't have that in front of me, but my wife says yes.
No. I'd like to
It's-
see that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to the question here of the scanner.
Yeah.
Did you take the scanner? Do you have
No,
the
sir.
scanner?
No, sir. Oh, this will be another good thing. I'm glad we brought this up. So one, the Snap-on scanner wasn't even really being used when I was there running because his was obsolete and broken. So that's a real funny thing right there.
That's funny.
So, yeah, it is funny. So, and you never called me about it.
No, Dennis even talked to you about it.
Dennis never talked to me about it.
Mr. Braswell,
Will you
He's gonna be
please
here in just a
stop?
second.
We're going to
Yep.
We
Yes,
can-
sir.
quiet, can't we? Just Mr. McCle. Mr. Bell,
Yes.
my question to you was, did you take the scanner?
No, sir, I did not.
Do you have the scanner now?
No, sir, I do not.
Did you ever have it?
No, sir.
Do you have any other equipment that belongs to Mr. McCle or McCle Auto?
No, sir, I do not.
And did you provide the signed receipt for the credit card statements that you sent to Mr. McCle? Is that in your filing?
I don't think it is. I might be able to grab it here quickly, but I don't think it was put in the filings.
Do you know approximately what date that was sent to him?
I believe it was in November. I want to say the 15th. I'm trying to find a paper right now.
15th of 23.
November, yes, sir.
Of 23.
November 20th is when it was sent.
When was it signed for?
Put this in this box.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Mr. Bell, come on back on the screen here.
Okay,
You sent this by United States Postal Service,
that's correct.
and it was return receipt
Yes,
required,
yes,
and that's the form you're looking for. Is that right?
yes, correct. We're looking for the little card we got back.
Right. And your recollection is that said that Mr. McCle signed for it?
That's what my wife said. I personally did not see the card.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
All right. That's all that I need from you right now, Mr. Bell.
Okay,
Let's put Mr. McCle back on. Mr. McCle?
Also able to see everything.
All right. You're muted now. So if you'll clear that, we'll
There
hear
you
from
go.
you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So I have some questions for you, Mr. McCle.
Yes, sir.
Your testimony is you never received that document on or about November 20th with the credit card statements from Mr. Bell.
I did not receive that I know of, and none of my counter people ever said that something showed up. I have a packet for Randy Bell. Everything goes into that packet so I can review it. And the honest truth is, this is, I thought it was fairly simple. You know, Randy,
Well, let me ask you this. All right, you're saying that you didn't get that or you don't recall getting that.
I did not get it.
Is it accurate, Mr. McCle, that Mr. Bell made credit card charges on his account for items that were necessary for McCle's Automotive?
No,
What about the checks that I saw in the form that were payback for were reimbursement for charges that were paid?
That was not necessarily for McLeese Automotive. We were starting to do some custom car work, and we were starting to build a custom car deal. And Randy did do some stuff, and I paid him in full. But when he took my equipment because he was all PO'd about the carts, that's where things went sideways.
All right, let me ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
What evidence do you have that Mr. Bell took your scanner?
Well, I've got Dennis, who's actually Randy's friend.
I'm sorry, say again?
Excuse me?
Start that again.
Dennis, a man who Randy actually brought in to my shop to work. And me and him were using the scanner that day. I went in and locked up the shop and put it on the charger. It was there. Randy comes in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden, a bunch of stuff disappears. Scanner, brake kits, this, that, and the other. Then the shop was locked up 100%, and the product was gone. I'm not. And Randy's got a history of this. You know, he's always been. We want to go into history, Randy. You don't want to. We'll start with them.
Let's do it.
No, let's not.
And Judge, I did find that card if you wanted to see it.
Yeah, hold it up on the screen. Can't see it. Is it Brian McLee's signature on there?
It's a BM signature, yes, sir.
Let me
Like it's on his checks?
Yes.
I can't see it, Your Honor.
Of course you can.
And I don't just sign BM.
Yes, he does.
I saw the checks that you signed.
Yeah,
They all have
BM,
just a big BM on it.
Yes.
Who else would sign his signature?
I still can't see that.
Hold it up a little closer.
Does it get blurrier when I get closer?
Mr. McLeese, let me
Yeah,
ask you this question. What date is it that you believe that Mr. Bell took the scanner unit?
The day that he was going racing. It's or the
and
day
what day
before,
was
I
that?
should
That's
say.
what I'm asking you.
I think you like December 6th.
It was the day he left. And I don't have any of the payroll stuff in front of me. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I can't. I'm not going to say something wrong.
Mr. Bell, can you tell us what day you last worked for McLeese Automotive?
12/6
I believe it was the 6th of December.
of 2022.
Does that sound accurate to you, Mr. McLeese?
I believe so, sir.
And is that when you believe the scanner turned up missing?
I know that's the date it ended up missing. Not a question,
So
Your
for
Honor.
over a year, you've done nothing to recover that $11,000 scanner?
I have asked Randy to return it time and time again. Randy was my friend.
Your Honor,
Ms. Bell, go ahead.
I was going to say, we can always produce phone records to see when Mr. McLeese ever did call. So I know for a fact he hasn't called. And so
Dennis
be it. If
hasn't
I have
called
to,
you?
I will hire a forensic.
Shh, baby.
Is Dennis here yet? Your Honor, I have the gentleman coming in, Dennis, Randy's friend, that will acknowledge what I've been saying, sir. And he should be here any second.
There the next day.
I didn't want to make your morning tough. It needs to be right.
That's what I'm thinking. He received 11/24.
All right, Mr. McCle, we're going to move on here. I don't know where your guy is, but we don't have all day. There are other people that have cases on for today as well. Let me ask you this question. While you were in more than the year that has passed since this alleged theft of the scanner, was it your intent to just say to Mr. Bell, that's a wash, you have my scanner, and I'm not paying you any more money?
That is not the attitude I went at it.
Did you consider reporting the theft to the police?
I did report the theft.
Mr. Bell, did you get contacted by the police about the theft of the scanner?
No, sir.
There is the case number. I don't have it in front of me. And my goal was I didn't want to hang Randy. He was my friend, but he was doing weird stuff and he was taken from me. And so I just
all right, enough, Mr. McCle. Hold on. Mr. Bell, do you have any final comments to make?
No, other than, I'm blown away. I was hoping Brian and I would get through this and kind of be friends, but the scanner thing is just, just a step too far. Totally ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. So, no, I have nothing further to say than unless you have any other questions for me, sir.
I don't. Mr. McCle, any final remarks?
I just can't have people pillaging me anymore. It's happened too much. And I thought me and Randy would be able to work this out too, but I don't see that happening.
Nor do I.
Your Honor, if I may
All right, I'm
ask,
ready to make a ruling in this case.
I'd like to know if the insurance company, if he reported to the insurance company and if they paid him.
I did. They haven't paid me nothing.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see the report.
Yeah, you better.
And I'm assuming, Mr. Bell, you haven't heard anything from any insurance company about the theft, have you?
No, sir. No.
I haven't followed through with it, Your Honor. I thought this was going to be settled civil.
All right. Well, as I said in my opening statement to you,
I know.
It's a difficult proposition here, but I'm going to make a ruling today. Here's what I believe to be the case, or what I'm finding to be the case. Finding that Mr. Bell did work for McCle's Automotive, that there was at least a tacit agreement between Mr. Bell and Mr. McCle that Mr. Bell would use his credit for certain items for the benefit of McCle's Auto, that there was a payback arrangement that had occurred over a period of time. However, it did not apparently pay back everything that Mr. Bell had advanced on the behalf of McCle's Auto. And that amount that's remaining is $6,800, according to Mr. Bell. Mr. Bell testified and has a document showing that he sent a list of all of those credit statements to McCle's Auto. He's filed those documents with the court. I did have a chance to look at some of those yesterday, and they do seem to show things that are related to McCle's Auto. In response to this, Mr. McCle testifies that no, there was not an agreement to that effect of everything being paid back, that there were other things that were involved, maybe some joint ventures in race cars or something of that nature, or go-karts or whatever. Mr. McCle testifies that he does not believe he owes $6,800 back to Mr. Bell. Mr. McCle testified that he did not receive statements on the credit card advances made by Mr. Bell in November of 2023. Mr. McCle testifies that a scanner unit that was in his shop with the value of approximately $11,000, he believes that scanner unit was taken by Mr. Bell in this process. Mr. Bell has testified that he never took that scanner, has never had that scanner, does not have that scanner. Unfortunately, Mr. McCle doesn't have any direct evidence that Mr. Bell took that, indicates that happened on an overnight situation where he believes Mr. Bell was in the shop.
He was in the shop. He dropped off my car.
That scanner, Mr. McCle, we're finished testifying right now.
Okay.
Mr. McCle has testified that he hoped to work this thing out with the Bells, but nothing has really transpired in relation to that. He has not reported it to, he has reported it to police by his testimony, has reported it to his insurance company by his testimony. Mr. Bell has testified he has not been contacted by any police agency or insurance company in relation to any theft of a scanner unit. A lot of extraneous material here about go-kart racing and what equipment was where and who owns the cart and so on and so forth, I think is kind of irrelevant to the bottom line question here of whether there was an employment relationship, whether there was an agreement for repayment of items that were purchased on credit by the Bells in relation to McCle's Automotive. My conclusion is this. I believe at this point that the Bells have provided sufficient information to justify a judgment in their amount of $6,800 for items items put on their credit card for the benefit of McCle's Automotive. Contrary to that, I don't have sufficient evidence as to a scanner unit or adapters or brake kits or other things that were taken allegedly by Mr. Bell. His testimony is that he hasn't done any of that and hasn't had any particular response from Mr. McCle to this. This is a long-standing old issue. It's unfortunate that these parties who were previously friends and who had worked together for some period of time have come to this point, but that's my finding at this time. So I am going to enter judgment in the favor of Randy Bell and Catherine Bell against Brian McCle and McCle's Automotive. Following trial. And the claim here will be for $6,800. All right, I've signed that judgment in this amount. You'll be able to get a copy of it from the website on Monday. Or Tuesday, rather, since Monday is a holiday. But that's all there is for this case today. Mr. Bell, thank you for being here. Ms. Bell, thank you. Mr.
Baby, shut the door. Shut it off. I'm gonna fucking lose my mind right now. I swear to fucking God.